As I learned more and more about the story I'm about to tell you, I became increasingly frustrated. And I think part of that is my academic background. And I think part of it is just the human tragedy. So, propaganda can actually kill. And that's what happened here. I'm going to tell you two different stories and then some of the historical background. But the first one just got some attention because this is like more recently in the news. The second one was in the news about a week ago. So propaganda can actually, like lies can kill. If you believe lies and then take actions based on believing these lies, it's going to bring you to a place where it can be a very bad place. This is what happened with this guy. His name is Derek Huffman. The short and potentially tragic journey, well, potentially I think is off the table now. I think it is a tragic journey of American emigre Derek Huffman, who moved with his family from Texas to Russia to escape gaze and pornography. He joined the Russian army and was sent to the front in Ukraine and has documented this on his YouTube channel. Okay, so he wants traditional values, and he thinks that Russia is the mecca of traditional values, which it certainly is not, but it's portrayed itself that way. Okay. After homeschooling our children for 2 years, we researched options, discovered an American Village project in Russia for English-speaking Christians. Again, if you think that Russia is traditional Christian values, like you've been sold a bill of goods. Following a successful visit to Moscow, we sold our land in Texas and began the immigration process, which included obtaining visas and preparing for life in Russia. Here he is on his YouTube channel talking about why he did what he did and what he thinks he's going to get out of it and that sort of thing. Let's listen to him.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Making this video today to talk a little bit about why our family moved to Moscow from Texas. A little background on that. I guess it started a couple of years ago with the LGBT indoctrination of kids. You can't even turn on the TV these days without child cartoons talking about sex and gender, teaching it in the public schools. The transgender movement, these mentally ill folks that they're trying to push, make it mainstream, make it normal. DEI initiatives, as a white family, being told we're racist and not given the same opportunities because of the color of our skin. My daughter's growing up in this world.
Now he just listed 4 things. He's going to go on and list more, but that color of the skin thing, you're going to see the inverse of this in just a little bit with someone else.
We just couldn't have it. The food in America is so unhealthy. They want us to be fat and dumb.
Who is they that want us to be fat and dumb? See, he's bought into a number of conspiracy theories here, right? Like, I get it. He wants traditional values. I understand. But beyond that, he's going into this is happening and that's happening. And these powers that be are trying to control us with that. And he's listed at least 5 different things that like are parts of, well, okay, let's just keep going.
It is better for us to be sick and continually paying money than it is to heal us, to make us better. There's so many foods that have illegal ingredients in many other countries, but in our country, perfectly legal. Red dyes, all kinds of chemicals, fluoride in the water. On and on and on. And we didn't want to live that way, unhealthy, sick. I didn't want my kids indoctrinated, so the first step we took was to start homeschooling them. We've been doing that for like 2 years now.
There's nothing wrong with homeschooling per se. I homeschool. That's not an issue.
Where could we move? Somewhere, that shared our Christian values.
And you think that Russia is a bastion of Christian values. That's the thing. Like, Russia has convinced the world that they are this traditional alternative, and he's a victim of this. It's really tragic.
Fluoride in the water. On and on and on. and we didn't want to live that way, unhealthy, sick. I didn't want my kids indoctrinated, so the first step we took was to start homeschooling them.
Okay, so let's move on here. Let's hear a little bit more about him. He has a whole YouTube channel about the Huffman family experience as they were moving to Russia. Okay, the project in question where he was moving was called the American Village, a project initiated by right-wing American broadcaster and pro-Russian propagandist Tim Kirby, who moved to Russia in 2006. He converted to Russian Orthodoxy in what has become something of a fashion on the U.S. right. Okay, and again, they're lying to him about how traditional values Russian is. Okay, Vladimir Putin has indirectly lent his support by allowing foreigners who share traditional Russian spiritual and moral values to move to Russia without taking a test in the Russian language and Russian history. A little bit more, only a few weeks later, after he moved, Huffman decided to join the Russian army so that he could obtain accelerated citizenship rather than having to wait 5 years. His wife, Deanna, announced it to their daughters in another video. Daddy signed a contract with the army. It's official now. Okay, you can see where this is going, and it's not going to be good. And, he's not thinking he doesn't have the information because he's only getting it from certain sources. And so he thinks Russia is dreamy. And he doesn't think that, if I join the Russian army, I'm going to be helping killing these innocent Ukrainians. No. He's talking about how he's going to stop the Nazis. I saw him say that kind of thing. All right. Huffman says he wants to earn the right to live in Russia, complaining that migrants come to the U.S. without respect for local culture and without desire to integrate, and he does not want people to think the same about him in Russia. Okay, so he says Russia is doing the right thing. The Nazi regime in Ukraine must be stopped. Okay, again, the sources of your information, he's really imbibing this and believing that's true. So he fled to Russia. He joins the army. He's told that he's going to have a contract that is going to put him in the army, somewhere in the rear of the army, doing some kind of mechanical or some kind of work like that. And then he gets sent into the war zone. He's told that he won't be sent there, but then lo and behold, 3 weeks of training and he's sent to the front. Here we are, American father of 3. This is in the New York Post. American father of 3 who joined the Russian army to escape woke has been sent to the front lines, the wife says. Okay, so that's right. He was trying to get away from what he considered a woke culture. That's important. I'll show you why in just a moment. Okay, wife says anti-woke American dad who joined the Russian army is alive and doing well. Well, that was just a couple of days ago, and here's what she reported about a week ago. Deanna Huffman is her name. It said that her husband Derek has joined the army.
Getting a little tired, so I'm gonna walk back. But as I'm walking back, I wanted to share a little bit about what's going on with Derek. When he signed up and had all of that done, he was told he would not be training for 2 weeks and going straight to the front lines, but it seems as though he's getting 1 more week of training and closer to the front lines, and then they are going to put him on the front lines. So we are all praying really hard that he could actually be utilized for his skills and not just be put as a fighter.
Look, this is tragic. They were deceived. He was told he wasn't going to have 2 weeks and then be sent to the front line. He got 3 weeks before he was sent to the front line. But you're going to the front line to kill Ukrainians who are defending their wives and families from Russian aggression. And I feel bad for her, but at the same time, you got to realize what's on the other side of the equation. So then I don't feel bad for her because he made that choice. And as much as he was deceived, you shouldn't be. Okay, well, and then we see this. American Derek Huffman fled with his family to Russia to escape the corrupt West. Domiciled in Putin's American Village, he was promised a job with the Russian army as a welder. Huffman is reported to have been killed in combat in Ukraine. Again, I see this from someone who I trust. Chuck Farrar is a reasonably solid source, but I can only find this in one other source as far as that he was killed by a drone. and that source was not like a major news source. So, okay, let's say he wasn't killed, but was just deceived. That's bad. If he was killed, it's even worse. Like, let's just try to understand what's going on. Lies kill. And it's not just because of him trying to escape from woke. It's not just that. This woman here, okay, the American woman that was convinced by Russian propaganda to move to Russia to escape racism. Wait a minute. Wait. He's escaping America to Russia to escape woke, and she's going there because she's escaping racism? Yeah. And then she was used by Russian propaganda to convince more Americans to move to Russia. She's now learning that Russia is the most racist country on earth. That's just commentary. Her baby and she and her baby were brutally beaten by neighbors, and police wanted bribes not to evict her. So she was also in the New York Post here, someone who left to escape discrimination. Here's a little video about that from the New York Post. This is right from the New York Post.
A black woman who moved from the U.S. to Russia to escape discrimination and racism revealed on social media that the entire plan backfired on her in a disturbing way. Francine Villa was born in Russia but moved to the U.S. with her family when she was a kid. In a heartbreaking video, Francine claims that both she and her baby were brutally attacked by racist neighbors in Moscow. She detailed the alleged assault on Instagram.
Says they attacked us with this, my child, right in the face.
The fact that the attack occurred in her homeland is an extra painful blow. Villa had previously spoken about her move in the 2020 documentary Back in the USSR, which aired.
Yeah, so the Russians used this when she moved back for propaganda value, so that, see how awesome Russia is? Yeah, so that's what happened. Now, this isn't new. Back in the 1930s, several hundred Americans, many idealistic workers, journalists, engineers, political activists, were lured to the Soviet Union hoping to join its socialist experiment. Tragically, many fell victim to the Russian world, ending up in gulags or executed. So there's nothing really new here. This is what happens here. A history mostly ignored, many of the thousands. Some notable cases like Lovett Ford Whiteman, a prominent African-American communist activist who emigrated from the U.S. to work in the USSR. He was accused of Trotskyism in 1937, was sent to Koloma, and died of malnutrition in a Siberian gulag camp. Or Isaiah Ogins. He was a historian turned Soviet GRU and KVD agent until his arrest in 1939, where he was executed on Stalin's orders in 1947 by poisoning. Or Thomas Govio. He came to the USSR at 19 with his father. He survived the Koloma labor camps and later returned to America. Victor Herman came with his family from Detroit. He was arrested for refusing Soviet citizenship in 1938 and spent 18 years in various gulag camps before returning to the U.S. in the 1970s. How many? Several thousand Americans are believed to have disappeared into the gulag system in the 1930s, most likely died without repatriation or records being accounted for. This happens, but the tragedy is they believed a lie, thinking they were getting to the promised land, whether it was for anti-woke or for anti-racism kind of reasons, and it didn't work out so well. So that brings us to this. You got to understand where you are and what you're listening to. Who are you listening to? Are you acting on what you're listening to? Are you consuming the right sources, or are you consuming enough sources that are giving you balance? And then what are you going to do with the information that you've gathered? All right. That's all, my friends. Tell me what you thought about what you saw here. Lies are tragic. I've wondered, as a thought experiment, what would happen to humanity if we were incapable of lying? Wouldn't that be amazing? Because like what's going on in Ukraine is just, it's tragedy built upon tragedy, built upon tragedy, built upon lies. Tell me what you thought about that. Put that in the comments below. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.